UFC 309 took place this past weekend from the legendary Madison Square Garden. Jon Jones made a massive statement reclaiming his status as the greatest of all time. All this and more coming up next on Fighting with Friends. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Fighting with Friends, the undisputed African fighting podcast champion of the world. Speaking of champions, ladies and gentlemen, I have with me today the reigning, defending, undisputed vegan champion of the world. That is, of course, brother guy.
You can't see my muscles, but it's fine. How's it
We can
going,
see
AD?
it, bro. We can see it. Jack, hey, what's happening, BG? OG.
Blessed, always blessed.
Speaking of blessed, bro, we also have with us today the winner of the CPS Contender Series, only professional record, now 11-0. Making his next fight for the undisputed BMF title here at the CPS Reports. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Nazim Al Nino, aka
The Blessed Express. We are your boys.
Blessed indeed, boys. Welcome back. And of course, we have a massive card that we need to jump straight into. And as always, boys, we start at the top of the card. And here we saw, like I said, Jon Jones make a massive statement, absolutely outclassing a weathered and quite old-looking Stipe Miocic, let's be honest. So yeah, BG, was this everything you expected it to be, and what did you see playing out here, bro?
Oh, I think weathered is a very good description word to use there, guy. I mean, he did look like he probably just took the fight because the bag was nice and big, a nice fat paycheck for the fight, whether you win or lose, because it wasn't competitive at all. Everything that I thought of Stipe, I thought maybe he would show us at least a little bit of a glimmer and make it a bit competitive. The only thing I can give him really kudos for is that he actually lasted more than one round. You know what I mean? I thought he was probably going to get pieced up. Not necessarily pieced up, but I thought he was going to have the lack of stamina, the ring rust out for 4 years. He's probably going to struggle to go further than the first round, but he did. And I know I said in the preview it's going to go past 2.5 because I thought that's probably going to happen. So he surprised me by that. But in terms of the performance itself, it wasn't surprising. I thought Stipe he didn't make it competitive. Whereas Jon Jones, on the other hand, I don't think Jon Jones stood still for more than a second. I think every moment of the fight, he was throwing something at Stipe, whether it was a jab or a hook or an elbow or a spinning kick or I think his best weapon that he used for the entire fight was the deep kick to the body. I think that set up everything for Jon Jones. It set up the takedowns even, because it meant that Stipe had to bring his hands down and look for a different way to defend it, and that made everything else more open for Jon Jones to throw at him. So I think the best way to describe Jon Jones's performance is just, like you say, masterclass. He reminded everybody as to like what makes him so absolutely insane. And that being said, now it's like the fight against Sam Aspinall makes it even more exciting and more intriguing to want to watch, because Jon Jones just put on a absolute clinic every second of that fight. I mean, Stipe, when they went to the ground in the first round, the amount of elbows that Jon Jones threw, it shocked me that Stipe wasn't cut open. He only got cut once they stood up. And I was like, look at this. You know what I mean? But again, the fact that Jon Jones was able to take Stipe down at will, strike from any sort of distance of the fight, and pretty much move the round in his favor in every second of the rounds, I thought absolutely amazing. But for Stipe, I wish I wanted even more out of him, because I did feel like I said, he was in camp for this fight a year ago. So it was like, I expected more out of him for that, based on that information. He was very much a shadow of himself, and that's a bit unfortunate on his end. But take nothing away from Jon Jones. That doesn't mean that Jon Jones was, any less. I think he did what he had to go and do, and yeah, big ups to the performance one time. That's really masterful.
Nicely done, BG. Babu, I can see there you're saying Jones is my GOAT. Tell us more about that, bro.
I think I disagree a little bit with what BG was saying, just in terms of Stipe coming in for the bag. I think if you look at Jones's performance against Cyril Gane, I think any fighter is going to look at that performance and say I could probably take him. And I even saw Tom Aspinall after this fight said like, "Oh, I see holes in Jon Jones's game," and I think every fighter is going to look at Jon Jones' performance and be like, "Oh, he's lacking in this or that department," but it's just because, like, I think Jon Jones, like, he's like the greatest of all time, just in terms of how he sets up and how he sets his game plans, because he won't use the same. You won't see the same Jon Jones that fought Dominic Reyes or the same Jon Jones that fought Cyril Gane and the same Jon Jones that fought Stipe Miocic if you look at all his performances because of how he sets up his game plans. Like, he finds what the opponent is lacking and then he increases on that skill. And he's so well rounded in terms of his wrestling and his striking, and he has a decent jiu-jitsu game that can threaten anybody. And like he just has that in like his locker, so he doesn't like really focus on it unless like the opponent brings that out of him. And the one thing that like every fighter that comes up against him, they always think they have an opportunity until they're like in there and they're like, oh, he's a bit longer than what you expect, or he's a bit more crafty, or he has like a certain thing that he just does differently to other fighters. And each fighter that comes up against him says like, oh, maybe it's the kicks that like that's not as powerful as they expected. And most fighters they just say it's his reach. And I think he's recorded as like the third longest or
No, he's the longest.
and you see that against the Stipe fight, like Stipe, I think he tried to throw one or two kicks like in the earlier in
But
the first.
half-hearted.
Yeah, and like you could see Jon Jones already was reaching for the leg. And I think even like the takedown caught Stipe off guard because like as soon as I got into a clinch, Jones swept him so easily. And it was like, well, I don't think Stipe even expected Jones to initiate such a takedown. I think he expected Jones to more clinch and fight in there. But at the end of the day, like beautiful performance from Jon Jones. I think I agree with PG. I didn't think Stipe was going to make it out of the first. It looked like Jones was going to put him away. And yeah, just kudos to Stipe for his career. Like amazing career. I think he goes down as like one of the heavyweight like top three.
Yeah.
I think it's like Cain Velasquez, Stipe Miocic. Like that's the debate of like heavyweight.
I agree. Yeah.
But other than that, like just a beautiful performance for Jones. I mean, going forward, I saw his post presser. He was saying he wants Pereira instead of Aspinall, which I think like yeah, I kind of want to see like Tom Aspinall like against him, especially like that performance. But I'm also gonna move the goalpost and be like, Aspinall doesn't move the same way Stipe moves. So like that's what makes it intriguing. And then the fight happens, and then I'm like, oh, Jones just outclassed him on like in the grappling, and I'm like, that's not like what I expected. So you know, it's a double-edged sword with Jones, man. Because you're always like, like I would have wished this was a stand-up fight, but I know Jones would just like try and grapple him and take him down and then like smother him.
PG.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, look on your face is saying that
I put in my mic because they're drilling upstairs for some reason, so it's now. Yeah, I'm doing that with my face because I don't think you should fight Alex Pereira. And I think Dana White did say before the fight started in the press conference that they're going to get Aspinall next whoever wins this fight. So, and especially if Jon Jones wants to really go down as the GOAT, you know that all the fans are saying fight against Aspinall. Fight him now because after now he's going to be too old. Aspinall's going to be peaking, and it's like if it's the right time to shut this boy up now. If I'm Jon Jones, do it now while he's barking so much and while you still got the vibrance in yourself. 38 years old. Take him now before you 42, and then you get wiped out by this young kid. You know what I mean? Like you like fight him now while you're still in your prime, basically, or while you still got the juice. The reason why I said the bag about Babu about Stipe Miocic, I'll come back to the Aspinall one. The reason why I said he was coming in for the bag is because he wasn't injured for 4 years. You know what I mean? He could have put Aspinall at any point. He could have put Cyril Gane coming back literally within that 4-year gap, but he didn't. So why did he wait for Jon Jones for so long? it's not that important. So it must have been that the bag must have been really big for him to take it to. Because what else is going to get? No one else got you moving for 4 years. You know what I mean? No one else made you want to. And it's not like he wasn't. It's not like he wasn't off the roster. He's still on the roster. You got these guys fighting for interim titles, back and forth, back and forth. Some people said, "Oh, give me Aspinall, give me Curtis Blades, or give me any of those top guys. Let me show them why I'm still the king." And then take Jon Jones. You know what I mean? But he waited 4 years. I was like, the bag must have been really massive for both of them, but Stipe more specifically. But in terms of the Aspinall Pereira situation, I think Jon Jones should take on Tom Aspinall, and this is why I was a bit skeptical about the wrestling conversations because Tom Aspinall is actually a wrestler first base before striking. Striking second. Wrestling is what he actually trained for most of his life before becoming a striker. So I would actually love to see that fight instead of Pereira, because when he fights Pereira, he can definitely take down Pereira and smash him up there. I don't think anyone throws elbows from a full guard position the way Jon Jones does. So I think he can take Pereira on the ground 100%. I'm not too sure about Tom Aspinall. I mean, that's why the fight becomes so intriguing, because people believe that Tom Aspinall can box with Jon Jones, and they also believe that he can wrestle probably with Jon Jones, and that will be really, really intriguing to watch. And that has to be the next fight, guys. That has to be the next fight, not Pereira.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what Dana White was saying also, right? It's like, why would you want to fight someone who's like your age? You can't. You obviously Jon Jones is obviously going to take him down, like you said. So yeah, for me too, the Aspinall fight does make a lot more sense. But Babu, any final comments here?
I just like I agree with you guys. I would first, like as a fight fan, I would like to see Tom Aspinall. But if I put myself in Jon Jones's position,
Yeah.
I am like, yo, you know what, Pereira looks better on my resume.
Of course.
Because everybody says Pereira is the guy. So let me show you who's the real guy. I think also if I'm on that point of BG, like if I'm Stipe and I'm looking at Jones's last performance and I'm looking at Aspinall's last performance, I'm saying give me Jones, bro. Because Aspinall looks vibrant, man, he's bouncing all around, power is all the way there. I'm like, yo, bro, just give me Jones, bro. I don't want to deal with fucking Tom Aspinall. This one look like he's there. He's so hungry. So
he's a problem. You know, he's a big problem for the heavyweight division. Massive problem. That
even if I'm Jon Jones, I'm like, you know what? Give me Pereira, because Aspinall just look like he do too much, man. Like Pereira looks like he stands and sits up. Like that's what I'm able to deal with. That's the type of pace that I want in a fight. Not Tom Aspinall that's bouncing and moving around and looking for angles. Like, nah, bro. This is too much cardio for my life.
For sure. Yeah, no, 100%. I don't think anybody wants anything to do with Tom Aspinall at the moment in that division. But and rightfully so. I mean, the man's fights don't go longer than 1 round, so scary proposition there.
Another thing on that, Babu, with regards to the resume situation, I would go as far as to say that the resume between Aspinall and Pereira is not that much different, because Pereira, he's fought champions only, right? Coming into the UFC, he's fought, other than when he fought Strickland wasn't champion at that point. But beating this guy's title defense is quite 6 fights. Look, Tom Aspinall has only fought against the top 5 and top 10 of the heavyweight division. He's fought against contenders essentially his whole life, and it's not like he's fighting unranked people. He fought Curtis Blade twice, Pavlovich, who everyone was fucking scared of in that division, and starched him in the first couple of seconds of the fight. He fought Volkov as well. He fought the top 5 of that division. You know what I mean? So like that's a very strong resume. So for Jones to discredit him like that, I was like, dude, you know what he did? He fought against, who else must he fight against then? Those are the guys supposed to fight in the division. Who else must he fight then? You know what I mean? So that's why.
And also just to like make comparison to his career when he was like the young up and coming guy, guys always put him over and gave him a shot. You know what I mean? So
literally,
it's only right that he does the same now for Tom Aspinall and kind of tried to pass the torch. You know what I mean? Because he's coming to the end of his career, so I don't know why he's being such a dick, bro. Why don't you just fight Tom Aspinall? Show the fans what they want to see, bro. Come on. But anyway, let us know in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, the thoughts on the Jon Jones situation. Who would you prefer to see him fight, Tommy Aspinall or Alex Poatan Pereira? the big Brazilian. And speaking of Brazilians, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna keep it moving up next bout here. And here we saw our boy Charlie Olives, Charles the Bronx, Charles Oliveira. Put on an absolute clinic against Michael Chandler. To be fair, barring the
Yeah.
last round, he was pretty much beating Chandler's ass pillar to post, bro. It was like
Yeah.
he had nothing for him. So yeah, Babu, from your side, bro, what can you tell us about this fight?
This fight was like I felt like this fight was entertaining for like I felt like it was entertaining for 3 rounds. I think the fourth was like I could see like both fighters looked a bit weathered and it looked like Charles was trying to get the finish, but Chandler was like fighting a finish. So like it was like there was not much action there. And then I think that fourth round like really saved this fight in terms of like competitive nature because like you said already, like this fight was Charles all the way. Charles was dominating in everything. And it was surprising to see like how good he looked against Michael Chandler. I thought the
Mm.
fight would have been much more competitive
Mm.
over the like at least 3 or 4 rounds, but Charles put Michael Chandler in the blender, and I think that fourth round really saved. Um, I think that fourth round really saved Chandler in terms of like his stock. I think
Yeah.
if that fourth round went as the other rounds went, I think we all would have said like, maybe Chandler needs to look at like fighting Connor or like an older competitor because
Mm.
like it doesn't look like he could still hang in there with the young guys. I think that fourth round he showed like, his gas tank is still there. He showed like maybe some killer instinct because he was hitting Charles like nicely. The ground and pound was landing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think like it wasn't Chandler's best night, but Charles definitely had a showcase.
Absolutely. Yeah, Charlie Olive's looking very, very good. He looked a lot more composed than normal, I
Yeah.
thought. And
Yeah.
yeah, just a complete clinic. BG,
Yes, sir.
what's on your mind, bro?
Just yeah, I agree with Babu with a lot of what he's saying there. I do question Michael Chandler's stock after the fight though. I mean, he's gonna be 39 next year. Yeah, I don't know if he can call out big shots anymore. Maybe still the Conor one if he's lucky, but I don't know if he
Yeah,
can
I
call
mean,
out.
sorry there, BG. Just on that call out point, what I found to be extremely funny was he lost the fight, and there he was after the fight making call outs.
Making call outs, yeah.
What the fuck, bro?
It's
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
he made the call out as if he was gonna win. You know what I mean? Because he did
As
say
if he
before
won the
the
fight.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was saying at the build up to the fight, like I'm gonna win and I've got something prepared for you guys after the fight. So he thought he was gonna win and he thought, okay, I'm still gonna do it anyway. But I don't know if it holds the same weight anymore because you lost that. I don't know if it's
Absolutely
gonna
not.
carry
Yeah.
over the
I don't
same
think
way.
so.
But bringing it up to Charles, I won't go as far as to say that was Michael Chandler's off night. I'll say Charles just made him look average. Because Charles is just that fucking great. Like he was basically beating up Michael Chandler from every second. There was something that he did in the first round. He landed a low kick onto Michael Chandler's front leg, and you could see, when Oaks get bruises on their knees from extensive grappling, and then they got that orange, red to purple patch on
Oh
their
yeah, I
on their
saw that.
kneecaps.
Mm.
But Michael Chandler's didn't look on his kneecap. His was on the lines of his muscle going around the kneecap. And that indicated to me that the damage was internal. And he couldn't step on it. You could see he was really struggling. And I was surprised that he was actually taking some of the kicks later in the fight. But that kick to the knee ruined him because he was struggling to use his explosion to go forward. You could see when he did explode, it was like jumps. He was like jumping and stuff because he couldn't really just step forward and jab the way he was doing in the first 10 seconds of the fight. Because then Charles took away that leg, and I was like, well, now he's cooked. He's basically taken out now. Keeping him hard, took away his stomach. When he went to the ground, the way Charlie was, the way Charles was elbowing him was just devastating elbows. I was surprised that Michael Chandler wasn't cut up immediately. But he survived it, and he made the fight competitive only in the fifth round by actually rocking Charles. But at that point, Charles was just like, you could see his foot was off the pedal. He just kept his guard up and he just kept on walking. He wasn't throwing as much. He was just trying to survive the fifth round because he basically bagged the first four quite easily, actually. And for me, that kind of performance that Charles Oliveira put on, it surprised me that he lost to Arman Sarukian. Does that mean Arman Sarukian is actually that good? Because fuck it, Charles looked like this, and then Sarukian was able to keep Charles down on the ground for majority of their fight. yeah, that speaks volumes of who Sarukian is. So that just makes this lightweight division, especially the top five, so exciting. They were exciting before, but Charles made a statement here to say, like, listen, you guys think just because I was one winning 3 fights that you know I'm gone. Still here. He's still the crown champion in my eyes, and I would love to see him get the winner, obviously, next between Tariq and Islam Makhachev. In terms of Michael Chandler, as much as he's this electric figure in this fight, shows me why I think he's still, like we said when he fought against the Aspens earlier, we still felt that John Chandler was slightly a bracket below the top five. And this fight kind of solidified that thing for me because you get beaten one-sided like that. You know what I mean? When he fought Gaethje, he was a little bit competitive at least. When he fought Dustin Poirier, he was competitive for the first round at least. But to get wiped out like this, it kind of shows you where Charles at and where he's at. That's why I say the call out from Michael Chandler holds no weight at the end of the fight. Whereas Charles is like, you guys know what's next for me. Title.
Mm.
Yes, there's no other fighter for him to fight but the winner of the championship fight.
I absolutely agree with that, BG. Babu, any difference in opinion from your side, or pretty much the same
Mm,
there?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I'd see Chandler against anybody outside the top five in lightweight, and if he decides to move up, I'd see him. I'd watch him in the welterweight division. I know he's a bit small, but I think his power is
Mm.
something that I would love to see go up against like Joaquin Buckley or like a Jeff Neal, something like that. I would like to see that. Like I think it would be entertaining,
Interesting.
but then again, like Chandler is just an entertaining fighter.
He is,
Yeah.
because of his style. Would you think that
Mm.
Chandler Dan Hooker rematch?
I don't mind that, to be honest, but I don't feel like Chandler deserves it.
Yeah,
I feel like
agreed.
Dan Hooker's on the up now. And
Yeah.
yeah, and but the thing is, like I feel like with Chandler's kind of Dana White privilege that he has, he's not
Mm.
gonna fight down. You know what I mean? He's always gonna be there and thereabout. I mean, look at the man lost his last fight, Brian. He had the goal to fucking call out Conor McGregor.
Mm.
Where does
Mm.
he? Where does he think like? Who does he think he is, bro? You don't do that if you lost the fight. You don't make call outs when you lose fights,
You
bro.
lose, exactly. Yeah.
Disgraceful, bro. So from my side, Babu, this was probably something you might like. Rafael
Talking.
Fiziev, is he back yet?
Yes. Oh, I don't know.
Bro, man's been healthy for the last like 6 months, bro.
Oh, heavy.
Well, there you go. I'd like to see that.
I agree.
Chandler
I'm all in on
Fiziev.
that one.
That would be a
Put all
sick
my
fight.
chips in.
Bro, nobody want to fight my guy.
It's true.
My guy
It's
is
true.
ready for a fight, and nobody wants to get that.
That's
So
true.
for him against anybody, I'll
Oh, he's
watch it,
young, my bro.
because
He's
he's a
51.
fucking animal.
Yeah. Look, and that's not even that far down the rankings. It's still top
No,
10.
it's
So I
not.
think that's a reasonable fight for Chandler, to be honest with you, bro. Like
Yeah.
everyone
Mm.
else here above him, I don't feel like he deserves. And yeah, he's not gonna fight too low down. So Fiziev seems like a good pick for me.
I'm all in on that.
Yeah.
That
And if
makes
you say he
sense.
is fit and healthy, then I don't see why not, eh?
Mm.
Yeah, makes sense, AD. And I also think Faziev beats Mateusz Kamarok and Benil Dariush. So, yeah,
He
let me
lost
fight
against
Faziev.
Gamrot, most.
Is that his
Faziev
last
lost
fight?
against Gamrot. Yeah, that was his
Wasn't
last
he
fight.
hurt? Didn't
But
he get hurt in that fight?
yeah, easily. Like his shin like was like
Yes.
cracked or something. So
Remember that?
I take that, and he still went to decision. So I take that with a pinch of salt. I do think
Mm.
my guy is not a top 10 fighter. I think he's a top 5 fighter,
Yeah.
because like he definitely gets the job done against anybody. And I think like just bar Charles, Sarukian, Makachev, I think that's his hardest fights. But everybody else, I think he has a good time against,
He
because he
lost to
can crack
Gaethje
with him.
also.
He lost to?
I think it was
Justin
also
Gaethje. Yeah,
Yeah.
decision.
But that fight though, I remember he looked very good in the first round and a
Yeah.
half, and then
Yeah.
Gaethje kind of started working the jab, using experience to kind of
Mm.
find his way
Piece him up.
home there. But yeah, it wasn't like convincing. I wouldn't mind
One-sided.
seeing that fight again, to be honest, because he clearly had a speed advantage against Gaethje. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that fight either, to be honest. But
dark
All right,
horse.
boys. Any final thoughts here? We do have a few more fights we need to get to.
Yes.
So
Nah,
Yeah, just
all good.
excited for Charles, bro. Charlie Olives is the dogs, yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Michael
it was great.
Chandler. Ooh.
Get him out of here, bro. Get that guy out of here.
Shoot
There
the
you go.
box.
But okay, boys. Yeah, and shout out to Charles Oliveira. Really good to see him back, and long may it continue. But anyway, boys, from good news, we're gonna go to
Yes.
some bad news now. We
Oh,
saw
fuck
Bo
you.
Nick.
What's going on, bro? Why does the world hate this boy so much?
the middleweight
Nah,
bout
it's
here.
not
We
even him,
saw.
bruh.
So what is it then?
Nah, wait for AD to get into it. AD,
Okay.
do your thing, bruh.
It was, of course, Bo Nickal who defeated Paul Craig here by unanimous decision. So, Babu, you sound like you're pretty keen to get something off your chest there, bro.
Nah, bruh, this fight was just. Bro, understand that, like, we live in South Africa. So you have to wake up early for this. And this is not the fight that I'm waking up early for, bruh. This is a fight that I'm watching and going to bed, bro. Like, Bo
Yeah.
Nickal, the UFC putting all the stock into him, feeding him like nicely along the way, giving him unranked opponent. You're like, UFC Paul Craig, veteran, there's a bit of stock in him. Bo Nickal don't exchange nothing, bruh. That man's fighting from the outside. You're like, bro,
Yeah, he
aren't
was.
you supposed to be like a amazing wrestler? So you don't want to test yourself against like Paul Craig. You don't even want to like get into like a clinch exchange just to see like give the crowd a show or like test your own skill actually. And
want
it's
to.
like, bro, like he's just like he's not even like a fighter that just comes to do his job, bruh. Because you don't even do the job properly, bruh. The job is get the finish. This man don't even do that part, bruh.
Yeah, nah, it was very underwhelming, and especially like you said, there's so much hype around Bo Nickal. But yeah, look, I think from like a professionalism point of view, Bo Nickal, like in his mind, thinking, look, I just need to get the job done here, and
That's what he
the
said.
most obvious path to victory is, of course, stay out of Paul Craig's guard, bro. So
Yeah.
yeah, but again, just because of the hype, I think very underwhelming. BG from your side.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. And I mean, he did say also, Bo Nickal this season now, he did say after the fight, I'm proud of my performance. That was the exact words he used. So he obviously thought what he did was really well. One thing I did notice significantly, and I remember as I said it, and DC also said it afterwards, was that he looked significantly smaller than Paul Craig. And that's obviously Paul comes from the heavier division, but he looks so much smaller than Paul Craig. And I think he might not admit it, but I think that's actually what I thought it was. I think he actually padded out about the size difference. He already felt a bit weirded out by Paul's jiu-jitsu because we all know, and also the tape is there for all of us to see what Paul Craig can do to you once you get locked into the spider's web with him. He's most likely we're probably gonna lose an arm or you're gonna lose a knee or something if you get caught in the grappling exchange with him. So I think that's exactly why Nickal wanted to stay standing with him. And look, for the most part, he was winning the striking exchanges. I think Paul Craig didn't throw nearly enough to even make it competitive in terms of, you could have done a lot more body kicks, a lot more teep kicks. If anything, I think I would have loved to have seen Paul Craig initiate grappling. You're more experienced than Bo Nickal. You know what I mean? You're bigger. Make the boy think. Make him work for this W. Don't let him just get the W from you. Make him work for it. Even if he fucking rocks you or he does the kick down, let him work for that thing. You know what I mean? Now the man's got such a unfortunate performance. Now he's already been hated by the fan base. Now he's even more hated by the fan base. What overrated is what they were screaming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's only because like he's already boring, and now the opponent also makes it a boring fight for him. I think Paul Craig could have also done a little bit more for the fight in my eyes. I don't completely want to shame or bash Lighty. I don't gran him. Paul Nickal works on my nerves, to be honest. I don't know why. I just think he's very, very boring to watch. But I'm gonna put onus on Paul Craig as well because you are the other half of that duo in the fight. You know what I mean? You could have also made the fight a lot more tricky for the Lighty. Force the grappling exchanges. You don't have to be scared of his wrestling. He's just a wrestler. He's not a jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's not going to tap you out. He's just going to try and look for dominant positions, maybe transition with you a lot. But you can tap him out. So I was a bit disappointed from both of them actually to put on that performance because you're also the curtain raiser for the co-main and main. And you put on that performance. Dude. Nah, nah, nah. And you still go and say, "Oh yeah, I thought it was a dope performance." Don't stink up the place like that, man. Don't stink up the place like that. So
Also,
now, yeah,
I was just gonna make a comparison. Like we've watched what's it, Shara Bullet. He's
yeah,
had 4 fights in the UFC. Man cracked the top 15. Why? Because he gets finished.
he gets dubbed on. Yeah.
Bo Nickal fought 4 times in the UFC. Actually, he's fought 6 times on UFC cards because
Mm.
he has 2 fights on Dana White. But this man's
Yes.
not. I don't even think that man's looking at top 15 because I'm not gonna feed him a top 15 guy now. Because what's he gonna
Mm-mm.
do? Stink up the place again?
Yeah.
So why am I gonna watch this man on the main card? Put this man on the other card. I
And the
watch
card,
Shot
yeah.
a Bullet, and even though both of them are getting like decent opponents to help showcase themselves, where Bullet is actually showcasing himself because he's getting finishes. Bo Nickal is unanimous decisions,
Mm.
getting the crowd fucking rowdy because they don't want to watch this.
Snooze fest,
Yeah,
bruh.
it was a strange one. And just back to your point there, BG, about how Paul Craig could have done more.
Mm.
Bruh, I can't tell you how much I agree with that because it's like, bruh, what was he thinking? What was he going to
Yeah.
win it as a striking match? Was that his
Yeah.
plan? You know what I mean? He
Exactly.
didn't attempt any clinch work, any takedowns, nothing like that. Bruh. Look, I don't believe he could have taken Bo Nickel down, but like you said,
Me
give him
too.
a look, maybe. Bro.
Something.
Make him think that you might go for it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's gonna throw
Yeah.
his striking off. But there was just nothing.
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah,
Paul
and also
Craig.
because sorry,
Yeah,
AD.
you go.
Also because I agree with you on that one. I was just going to add to it with in terms of because Bo Nickel came into the fight saying, if you watched his interviews before the fight, he was saying, "I'm the better wrestler." He was ranked number one in the US coming into this fight. Bo Nickel. He was like, "I'm the wrestler. I wrestled with Gordon Ryan. Da, 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 da. So I can take the fight where I want to take the fight." So if I'm Paul Craig, I'm thinking this boy is going to get schooled by me now today. If he's thinking like that.
Mm.
Even if you beat me, even if he does beat me, he's gonna lead this fight thinking I underestimated Paul Craig. You know what I mean? You must make him rethink what he said. You don't just make the boy come in there and then have him dictate the pace the whole time. You're taller, you not quicker, but you're taller, you're probably stronger. Don't test none of that. I was like, oh, that's very shocking. And then he still goes back to his corner, smiling like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this kid up. Like smiling, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling great. You know, like no, he's buzzed. You can see he's buzzed for the fight, but then go and stand there and just
Yeah,
what are you doing? Fight him. Anyway,
for sure. Yeah, very underwhelming there. But Baba, what's next for Bo Nickel?
But
good
I
question.
don't. I would like to see. I mean, like the natural progression would be top 5 because this would have been like the test, and like to see like not top 5, top 15 to
Top
see like
15.
can we give you somebody that's ranked so that we can get a ranking next to you. Um, but I wouldn't want to see him against anybody. Like
Yeah, me
not
too.
even Michelle Pereira. I wouldn't want to see Bo Nickal, Michelle Pereira because I might as well just watch the Paul Craig fight.
You
And
know who
Yeah.
would bully him?
like,
You know who would take him on? Sorry, Babu. Is Anthony
mm,
Hernandez because of his style. Fluffy will force him to do wrestling. Fluffy's like, we're going to fight here in the clinch. We're going to elbow and Murmaka in this clinch. I'm not going to have you dance around like a nobody and fight off the outside. Fluffy's going to get in on him hard and force him to make it. Like Fluffy will make it a street fight, man. You know what I mean? He'll make it very, very dogged for him, and he's going to have to do something about it. So I think that would be a good fight for him.
Yeah, I
But I
think
also
that's
agree
what he
with you.
needs also.
You need something like that, man. Not someone that's
Mm.
gonna try and stand with him because they're scared of his wrestling, or someone who's gonna try and wrestle him because they don't want him to stand. Fluffy's gonna be like, no, bruh. We get paid to move each other. We're not gonna make this a dance revolution. We're gonna fight each other. And that's what
Yeah,
Anthony Hernandez is gonna do. He's gonna go in there and make it very ugly for you if they must
yeah,
fight
but
each
yeah.
other.
I just look at 10 to 15 and I think 10 to 15 beats him.
Yes, no, I agree. I agree.
I
But
just
the UFC is
don't
gonna
see
do
him
that.
cracking this.
The UFC is gonna
Yeah,
give him
he's
someone in the top 15. He's the poster boy for them at the moment. And they're gonna give him
Mm.
someone. They're probably
going
gonna give
back
him
to the
Very.
someone.
undercard.
Send us one back to the early prelims. Uh,
Okay.
but okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the comments who you think Bo Nickel should fight next, and what did you think about his performance? Let us know. And your gentlemen, speaking of performances, we have to discuss a women's flyweight bout here, where we
Mhm.
saw Vivian Araujo defeat Karin Silva by unanimous decision. Oof, it was a difficult one to watch. So
Yeah, I was
BG,
disappointed.
what can you tell us here, bro?
Yeah, very disappointed in the performance of Karin Silva, especially because the card was almost building itself, and the way the all the UFC media was they were building it up because you don't even see Viviana in the embedded episode. So I was like, you know what I mean? They're obviously hyping up Karin Silva to get the job done here, and I mean recency bias has kind of shown that she was the better performer. She came in with the hottest streak, so it's like you're gonna have to put on the show. But boy was she underwhelming. I say underwhelming. And it also looked like she wasn't. Uh, what's the word? Looked like she didn't make a very good weight cut. Karin looked like she was a bit swollen. The movement was very slow. It wasn't as electric as she usually is. Whereas Viviana looked like she was like, nah, I'm still easy. I'm still, really fresh for this fight, and I can take the fight where I want to go. I mean, she landed the takedowns. Look, they're 3 of 3, whereas Karin couldn't land. She only landed 1/7. And yeah, I think Karin, she lost her stamina after that first round, and she didn't look that good after that. Whereas as Viviana, I think she was prepared for every section of the fight, and we have to give the props for that. But the overall theme of this fight, it was a very slow-paced fight. It wasn't as action-packed as the way most of the women fights usually go. It's like they're all angry at each other for some reason, so they just roll each other very aggressively. Whereas in this one, I was disappointed in Karin. She didn't make it a dog fight, which I think she should have. I think she was a bit scared of Viviana's hooks. But in the end of the day, neither of them did enough for me to go. I would be amped to see them fight again. So yeah, that's not really a nice thing you want to say about a fighter.
I can safely say I do not want to see Karin Silva fight again. Araujo, I might still give a bit of props to, but
Yes,
Karin Silva,
yes.
bro, after 1.5 rounds, she was lying on
Oh,
the ground. They were forcing her to stand up, and I don't know if she was tired. Maybe it was the weight cut,
she
like you
was.
said, BG. But yeah, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look at
Mm,
all.
yeah.
So Baba, from your side, what can you tell us here, bro?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page as you boys. I thought the fight was very underwhelming. I thought Karin Silva was gonna get the finish. I mean,
Mm,
with a nickname like the Killer, you expect
mm,
something to happen. You know what I mean? And then very underwhelming. I thought Viviana did a good job to try and make the fight as entertaining as possible. She let Araujo up a couple of times. She didn't really just try and initiate contact just to keep the position. I think she did
she was trying to
what she
win.
could. Yeah, and she looked like she wanted to get the finish in some facet.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, very underwhelming fight. I wouldn't want to see either fighter
Not on the
on a
main
main
card, at
card
least.
again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I would see you in the prelims. Like that's where you until you get like a finish or you run on a roll, because I think Viviana just takes opponents to decision, and Karin Silva just look like she is gassed after that first because our previous fight just ended in the first, and once you make
Yeah.
it out, then you're like,
Facts.
I got nothing for you guys.
Facts.
It's tough.
That's
So
so
yeah, unfortunate.
You can see in
Yeah,
that picture on the screen. Actually, look at that rolls. When I watched her in previous fights, she never looked this full. When I saw her standing and she was walking, closing Viviana Araujo down. I was like, oh, why she look so full? Why is she so swollen? And I was like,
thick.
oh, you know what I mean?
So
She couldn't.
thick.
She
She's
was thick,
thick,
bruh.
bro.
Thickest.
Her legs. I was like, every step she took looked like she was struggling to even lift the leg up because she was carrying so much weight. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I don't know if the weight cut was brilliant or not. I wasn't looking into it too much, but really full for me on the fight day, and I was like, "That's surprising. That's something to look into."
I mean, these are ranked fighters, so it's that makes it doubly surprising. But if we look at the women's flyweight division, I
Yeah.
don't want to really talk too much about Karin Silva because I don't think she's done anything worthy of us speaking about in that fight. But for Viviana Araujo,
Mm,
she's definitely going to be fighting up now. BG,
yeah.
who do you want to see her fight next?
Um, when last did Jessica and Raj fight? Do we know?
I think she lost
Early in
to
the year.
Natalia Silva.
Yeah, yeah. She lost
That was
against
her
Natalia
last fight,
Silva.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're right.
Baby girl. Shout out to
That was
Natalia Silva.
September. That was in September, so she won't get her. So they can maybe she can get Jessica and Raj next year. Maybe something like that.
I was thinking Caitlin.
maybe Caitlyn as well. Who did Caitlyn fight last? I don't even remember.
I don't think
Macy
Caitlyn.
Barber. Macy Barber in March.
Oh. Yeah,
Caitlyn,
so that was a while ago. Caitlyn should be.
she fight Caitlyn. I almost didn't recognize the because of the surname change, which obviously means that she got married. She was Moshakagian first. I
Yeah.
think she fights Caitlyn. That will be a really good fight for her. I won't say don't give her Rose or Natalia because Rose probably a bit too intense. I think Caitlyn's probably going to be the next fight. If she beats Caitlyn, then she can definitely call out someone like Barber again or Natalia Silva, someone like that. But at the moment, I think Caitlyn Chukai. How do you say her surname? Samanara.
Yeah, Samanara.
There we go. I'm someone saying.
Also, I think
Chukai.
like both fighters are durable. So
Yeah.
like we should get an entertaining fight. I don't think we're gonna see a finish, but an entertaining fight.
I mean, that would be a lot more than we got on Sunday morning, boys. So, I mean, anything, other than what we saw on Saturday or Sunday morning would be an improvement on.
Eddie is
the
not
performance.
impressed, bro.
Yeah, I was because look, bro, I woke up early for the stuff, bro. Show me some
Bruh,
respect. You know what I mean?
Fucking facts, bruh. Sacrifice my sleep for this.
Yo, bro, these means don't understand. We're out here. But anyway, yeah. So let's wish Viviana Araujo all the best, and hopefully Karin Silva can put in a better performance next time. Hopefully get back to winning ways, and yeah, because she looked good leading up to this fight. So
Yeah.
hopefully she can
Go up,
kind
bruh.
of grind it out. And
Karin Silva versus Tracy Cortez next.
yeah, I would say so. I would say Tracy Cortez is looking right there. But okay. Boys, we're gonna keep it moving, and this was a catchweight fight. We had Mauricio Ruffy, the very hyped fighter here from the Fighting Nerds, and he took on James Al on top, or James Llontop, as they were calling him on commentary. But yeah, this was a great fight. I thought it was very
Fascinating.
intense. And yours, fair play to Llontop, bro. Just so durable, bro. I bet the finish for this fight. I was very disappointed that it didn't materialize, but you gotta give props to Llontop. Yo, the man is durable and he's got a chin of granite on him. But PG, from Rufi's side, how impressed were you with this performance, bro?
Very impressed, very impressed. Especially because the point Babu made earlier about Karin Silva, where once you make it out of the first round with him, then it's like you usually don't have anything next because it's like now what you in untested waters basically. It's like you haven't been here yet, and that's the same thing I said for Rufi. Rufi usually just gets the job done in the first round or second round, so he doesn't really go past that round. So to see him actually fight and still, you could see he was getting tired. You could see if it was a 5-round fight, he probably would have lost round 4 and 5 because James was coming on strong around in the last moments of the fights. He looked like he was a bit more energetic. But Rufi overall, I think he's fabulous to watch, dude. He's a very, very good counter striker. Like Conor McGregor, actually. Very similar to that in the stance, but counter striker. A lot of power. If I'm not mistaken, Mauricio Rufi is actually a lightweight. That's actually his weight class.
I think so, yeah.
The welterweight, whereas James or James, as it's actually supposed to be pronounced, he's actually middleweight. If you guys didn't know, that's what the fight actually was. It was at catchweight, so you could actually see also he was a lot cooler and taller, bigger than Mauricio, and he didn't make the weight unfortunately. So they just did it in this weight. But this is why he didn't make the weight, is because James was coming down from middleweight, so that's why he was struggling with it. And for Mauricio to be able to stand against him, because I think the way James was the shots that James was taking in this fight, anyone else would have in lightweight division would have probably got knocked out or gotten TKO'd by the stuff that Rufi was throwing at him, because he was throwing beautiful strikes and he was evading some of James' strikes really, really well. I think this fight should have been higher up on the card. I don't know if you guys agree, but I felt like this fight should have been a little bit higher before Charles Oliveira them at least, because they came to fucking fight. Both these gentlemen came to put on a performance for not just for the crowd but for themselves ultimately. And I'm high on Rufi, dude. I want to see more of him in the UFC. Definitely, I want to see more of his fight. I want to see him introduce wrestling to his game as well, and not just be a counter striker. Because if he fights against someone that's really good wrestling, like for example, like a Makhachev, for example, I think he gets
It's a wrap, yeah.
Yeah, so I would love to watch him grow in the sport because he's a really exciting fighter to watch. And James, dude, I just want to know exactly which weight classes he's going to stick to, and then I'll put my investment in him. But on this fight, both these guys has definitely made me fans of who they are and what they produce, what kind of fights they produce. Very exciting.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that both of their stock went up after this fight. Baba, I see you nodding along there. What are your thoughts here, bro?
No, I agree with everything Peter just said. I think one thing that like stood out to me from Ruffy's point is the patience that he had in like setting up his shots and like the efficiency that he had with shot selection, and he was landing very clean. And like you can see, like he's a bit young, he's a bit inexperienced, but he also has like that experience of shot selection. He doesn't really uh, I can't see him gassing too early. I think like we saw a bit of like PG said in that third, we saw a bit of gas out of him. But I think in that first and second, he was conserving energy and he was still landing with power. So it's
Yeah.
just like pure shot selection. I think the camp that he comes out of also helps him very much because everybody in that camp is on a tee at the moment. And I think like I'm a fan and I'd like to see like what he does going forward. Um, yeah, I think like we give him another 2 fights and then we can see him like crack into that top 15 because he looks like an entertaining fighter.
Yeah, agreed there, Babu. Definitely 1 or 2 more fights, and yeah, definitely on his way to that top 15. BG, anything you'd like to add regarding the future of either of these fighters? What do you want to see
Yes.
next from them?
Yeah, I think give Mauricio Rufi a fight that's just outside the top 15 of the lightweight division. And then next he can definitely get one. So I'm not too sure who else. Maybe someone from the contender series can come in and fight him. In terms of James, I think it's safe to say same thing can be applied to him as well. Give him someone that's maybe out of the contender series, and if he wins that fight, then he can call a top 15. I just want to know which weight class is he going to be stuck into, and then we can kind of say for sure where he's going to go next or where he should be going next. But in terms of Rufi, just want to see something here. I want to see which weight class he is in to be quite exact.
He fights out of the lightweight
It
Yeah,
is lightweight.
division.
Okay, so it is lightweight. There you go. So that would mean not Rafael dos Anjos, not Paddy.
Jalen Turner was the one I thought of.
Very possible. I just wonder if because he only got 2 fights now, including the one he just had now. Only 2
Yeah, I
fights.
know, but I'm saying once he breaks it, I'd like to see him
yeah.
fight Jalen Turner because I think that would be a very good stylistic matchup for both of them and for the fans.
For the
So-
fans, but particularly for them because it's a much taller fighter and also a very good striker versus a very good counter striker and power puncher. It's like that's a very good matchup for sure. Maybe that would be the next fight. We don't know what the UFC is, but that might just be the next one.
Yeah, I mean the man's got so much hype behind him, and you know, with all the hype, UFC they can tend to ignore their rankings and just kind of throw him up there with some top 5, top 10, even top 15. But yeah, let us
We'll
know
do
in the
that.
comments your thoughts on Rufi's performance and what you'd like to see next from him. Okay, boys. We had obviously some. I did wake up for the prelims. They were quite good. We saw Jonathan Martinez, BG. We were speaking about that one off air. Very
Yes.
underwhelming from Jonathan Martinez.
Yeah.
Marcus McGee looked good for 2 rounds. Third
2
round,
rounds.
I
Yeah.
arguably would have given it to Martinez, but just very gun shy in that performance overall. Chris Weinman, Eric Anders was cancelled. Babu, do you know any reason as to why
Eric
that
Anders,
yeah.
I think I just saw he was the one that pulled out. They didn't
Okay.
really give too much
Yeah.
information, but I think it was like it wasn't something like him. I think he just had like a family emergency or something that like he
shit.
couldn't make it because it was like at the 11th hour that he pulled out. And
Yeah,
then
it was the last moment. Yeah.
Yeah, we woke up to
now
the news that the fight was cancelled. Well, yeah, I did anyway. I'm not sure what time you guys were up, but yeah, unfortunate that one. Of course, we saw Jim fucking Miller defeat
Yes,
Damon
yeah.
Jackson by first round submission via
Rivers.
guillotine. Another fantastic performance. Jim Miller now with the most fights and the most wins in UFC history, and he's not even in the top 10 for decisions, bro. Think about that. He's got the most fights and the most wins, and he's not even in the top 5 for decisions, bro. That's the nature of Jim
So he
fucking
finishes
Miller.
people.
Yeah, so we don't expect it to go on for much longer, but enjoy Jim Miller while he's still here, ladies and gentlemen. David
Just
Onama,
quickly, AD.
yep, go.
I saw that Chris Weidman posted on his Instagram to say that Eric Anders got food poisoning, and that's why he couldn't make it. He
Okay.
was
Oh.
yeah,
Shot Babu earning his money, keeping you guys up to date with the developments over the card there. Thanks, Babu. Uh, David Onamo, very impressive against Roberto Romero, who took the fight on short notice. Yo, barn burner of a fight. This would highly recommend you guys check it out. And then the early prelims were also very good. I'm not going to get into too much detail here, but overall, I would give this card a solid 7.5 out of 10. Babu, from you, what's your final score here for the card?
I think that Michael Chandler fight brings up the score. I think the Ruffy also. I think for that two fights, I think it was a subpar card. I'd give it 6.
Yeah, bro.
Fair. PG?
Alright.
I can't give a fair assessment because I didn't watch the preliminaries or the early prelims. I only caught on from Jonathan Martinez's fight upwards. And if I look at from that fight all the way till the end, that's 6 fights that I've watched. And of that 6 fights, only 3 were good. So that's a solid 5 out of 10 for me. 50% result.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said to you before we came on air, BG, it was such a good card up until the main card.
Yeah.
Early prelims were fantastic, and then just kind of hit a bit of a speed bump as we entered the main card. But such is life, ladies and gentlemen. If you have made it this far in the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, and I
We
hope
might
you
do
guys.
a live this weekend.
Oh yeah,
might
of
do
course, it is UFC China this weekend.
Yeah,
So
so we do a live for that.
we are trying to work out the kinks with that one. But yeah, we'll keep you updated as the information becomes available to us here at the CPS Reports. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time once again today. Gentlemen, thank you both very much. So from myself, BB and BG, have a fantastic week, everybody. We are out of here.